Hey, hey, it's your girl, your host, Alzata, Florence.
Say that. You better say that. Ooh.
Thank you for tuning in to You Better Say That talk show.
You better say that. Spreading love all over the community and encouraging one another. Topics that inspire you and me. You've been saying. You better say that. Spreading love all over.
Hello, and welcome to the You Better Say That talk show, where we dialogue with people from around the world. I am your host, Alzata Florence, and I'm so excited that you took the time to join us today. Hey, this month is Women's History Month. Last month was Black History Month. We have a phenomenal woman of God who's with us today that represents both. She is a trendsetter. She is a champion Hall of Fame, champion of change. She is in the Broadcasting Hall of Fame. She has received so many awards. I just can't tell them all. But she's here today to share with us all that she's done. She's a radio broadcaster, a journalism, and a talk show host. Help me welcome Miss Deborah Pearson, all the way from Dothan, Alabama. Woo!
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for being here today.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we tried to get together last month,
I know.
but things kind of just fell apart.
That's it.
But you know what? It's the perfect season in the time that we're in right now. God's timing is perfect.
Perfect.
And so
Always.
this is the perfect time. Mama's here with us today with her beautiful self, and you're here looking gorgeous. And so thank you again for being here.
Thank you for the invite.
You're welcome. So listen, let's talk about your journey. I want the people to know who you are and where you've come from and what you've accomplished all these years. So tell us a little bit about your journey into journalism and how your love for journalism got started.
Well, first and foremost, Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord." So he already knew the plan for me before I ever did.
That's right.
But at a young age, I started reading the newspaper as a little girl, picking it up, pretending to be Barbara Walters and Walter Cronkite. I used to watch the news with my grandparents back in the day. Never knew why I was doing it, but I did it. Fast forward, high school, 10th grade, I was selected to be a part of the journalism club at my high school, the Jacket Racket staff.
Wow.
And so I was a sports reporter at the time because I was a cheerleader, so I followed all the games.
Okay.
And then I became an art editor because I was very creative. And so the instructor made me an art editor, and also I did elementary news. So
Okay.
not knowing my path was being formed
That's
at
right.
that point.
Right.
Okay, and so college, I decided I wanted to be in broadcasting or some sort of form of journalism. And I attended Wallace Community College. I also went to school down in Florida for a little bit. And then I ended up at my HBCU, Alabama State University.
Okay. All right.
And they go Hornets.
Yes.
And they were just beginning to kick off a broadcasting program.
Wow. So you got in on the
So
first.
I got in on the first leg. So that was a journey that was wonderful. Got to meet some wonderful people that are still actually working there and in the business from the Tuskegee, Auburn area.
Right.
That were our teachers and instructors. And it was just a great opportunity and time. And that's where it started. So in the meantime, let's backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Mario Lightfoot was my counselor at Alabama State, Tuskegee native. And during the summer, he said, "Why don't you do an internship in Dothan?" And his college roommate was the owner of Wolf's son.
Oh, wow.
So he told me to go there. I did, opened the door, and they gave me an internship. We didn't even have internships at Alabama State at the time.
Right.
But hey, I took advantage of it.
Okay.
And walked in and got that summer job in 1985 at Wolf FM.
Yes.
God's plan.
Yes.
Here we go.
Wow.
1992, walked right back into the door, and I'm still there 33 years later.
Wow. What a journey. Isn't that awesome?
Awesome.
Just amazing. How God just ordered your steps and opened doors, favored you.
Yes.
And then to be the first recipient to a internship. Like I said, they didn't have internships, but you walked into that internship and got the information that you needed, got the opportunity that you needed
Exactly.
to just grow and be there 33 years. Ain't that amazing?
It is amazing.
Oh
It's
my
just
goodness.
amazing how the path, you look back, like you said, God ordered the steps all the
Right.
way.
hmm So when you look back over your life and what you've accomplished, February was Black History Month. This is Women's Month, Women's History Month. When you look back through your journey and the barriers that you had to break down, because maybe back in those days, they didn't have a lot of African American women in TV or broadcasting or even maybe even radio in this area.
No.
So how does it feel to be able to go into a place and break down those barriers? How was it? Was it hard? Was it challenging? Was it trying? Was it easy? Just share a little bit of that with us.
Well, initially, I didn't think anything else about it. I was just looking forward to the fact that I was doing this job and was able to go out and expand my career more. And as I started going to cover news stories, I started to recognize there were some little innuendos, little
Yeah.
things that were happening. They were not, because in radio, they hear you, they don't
Right.
see you.
That's correct. Yeah.
So most people actually thought I was a Caucasian woman.
Right.
And then when I get to the press conference or whatever, they see she's African American,
Wow.
and I was wearing a little short natural afro. So that was kind of unheard of back
Right.
then as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, I started getting some pushback or not being afforded the same opportunities as some of the other
Sure.
reporters. But I had a wonderful employer, bosses that
Mhm.
protected me.
Right. Oh,
Basically,
good.
they were very, very good at protecting me. Every time I walked back in the office, they said, "How was your day today?
Mhm.
Where you mistreated me? Did they treat you like everybody else?" And if I said something, they made sure that didn't happen again.
That's right. Oh,
So
good.
they were very protective of me, and,
Mhm.
and I'm grateful. And the boss was a woman, so
Ooh,
she
that's
understood.
good. This is a woman's world. Okay.
So she definitely understood, and by me being a black female,
Right.
she definitely understood because she fought a lot of racial problems back in the day by being a woman
Woman.
owner of a radio station.
Mm.
And on Sundays at her AM station was a gospel station.
Okay.
And so they used to have to call in the National Guard to
Protect
allow and to protect those people that came into that radio
Wow.
station on Sundays.
Goodness gracious, that is amazing. But you in being in an arena, being the first, being the first and then the first African American, you were bound to have some challenges,
Yes.
because of the era that we were in. I don't think we have that problem today.
We still had not as much,
not
but
as
we
much,
do still have it.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. Because when I look at Abby Phillips, I love her. On CNN and Simone, I love them. And then but I remember Walter Cronkite and what was the other lady? Barbara Walters. I remember them.
Yes,
I,
yes.
I watched Dee Armstrong over the years, and so they were amazing to me. Because they were on TV.
And that's who we looked up to at the time. We didn't until we saw a black woman of color with Oprah Winfrey. So look how long it took before we actually saw that.
Yes, exactly. So you've arrived.
Finally.
And we are so excited because you're here. But I look at your journey and I think about all you accomplished. How does it and what does it feel like to be called a champion of change?
Oh, it's an honor that not realizing that I was making change.
Right.
I was just doing my job,
Oh, wow.
being who I wanted to be, being that
Right.
journalist that I was called to
Sure.
be. And that was because I did stories that basically allowed everybody to be involved, not just one race.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of stories for African Americans and for whites, and for whom I just did stories.
That's right,
I wasn't
yeah.
thinking about color,
That's right.
and did not realize what I was actually doing until that came about.
Wow, that's amazing. Because when you're in that arena, you need to be concerned.
Mhm.
You need to care about everyone.
Exactly.
And I saw on your videos that you sent me, and I saw that you covered a story about some young girls that were killed in the community. Can you talk about that just briefly a little bit?
That
and
was
tell me
a
how that came
long
about?
story. It was I believe it's I can't remember the year 20. I know it was 20 years or 20 more than 25 years. It was the J.B. Beasley Tracy Hollett story, and it was actually on 2020.
Yes.
In 2024, And that was a tough story to cover, to see two teenage girls missing. Everybody, I mean, there was speculation for years of what happened to these young ladies,
Right.
and for it to be 20 plus years later before they, you know, no one ever thought they were going to catch anyone
Right.
with
Right.
that. But that little DNA
Come on now.
came back,
Wow.
and it implicated that gentleman
Mhm.
who had been in the area, and he
Wow.
was finally caught
Praise
and
God.
put behind bars.
Did they find the girls?
No, the girls were both
Oh,
deceased.
they were both to see. Oh my
Hmm.
goodness. Well,
Hmm.
stories like those kind of, I think it put you on the map. It took you, I think that kind of gave you a catapult to another dimension. You know what I'm saying? Because it was so highlighted in all of your the other videos that you sent me about you and some of the things that you've done in the community. It was a highlight to me.
Yeah.
You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? That made a difference in the community. And these were two Caucasians,
Yes.
teenage girls
Yes.
in the community of
Hmm.
Dothan, and but you covered it and you covered it well.
And I covered it from the very beginning to the
To
very
the end.
end. Yes.
Well, I saw where your community gave you a surprise celebration, and so many stated how you deposited so much into their lives and how much of a difference you made. How did that make you feel?
Well, I didn't even know that happened.
I know it was a
It was
surprise.
a surprise, yes. But the young lady that you're speaking of
Uh
in
huh.
that video, her name is Evangeline Reynolds Gunn.
Okay.
And Evangeline had two children,
Uh huh.
Leah and David,
Okay.
and they were young,
Uh huh.
and they attended actually my high school. They
Okay.
were in elementary school, I believe it was,
Mm-hmm.
and they were picked on a lot
Oh
because of the
wow.
way they talked or the way they spoke. And they said they spoke Caucasian; they didn't speak like black children.
Oh wow.
And so every day they were bullied.
Mm-hmm.
And it was years later when I finally met Evangeline and I
Uh-huh.
met Leah. She told me the story that those kids would get in the car and they would cry every
Oh
day.
wow.
Um, and she said, finally, one day, she said, "Who are you listening to?" "Oh,
Okay.
Mom, that's Deborah Pearson, Wolf Radio.
Uh-huh.
And she says, "What do you think she looks like?" "Oh, she's white."
Yeah. Wow.
And she says, "No, she's African American. She looks just like you." And she said their demeanor changed
Wow.
immediately, and they raised their shoulders. And
Yeah.
Leah, now I'm a mentor for Leah, and
Yes.
she calls me Auntie Deb.
Yes, she
So
does. I saw that.
yeah, so that was a deposit I didn't even realize I was making.
Wow.
In people listen to you all the time. You
That's
have
right.
no idea what change you're making in their lives.
Exactly. Amen. And it's so important to just give back. Help, pay it forward.
Okay.
You
Now
know,
I give back all the time.
that's
I'm involved in so many nonprofit organizations.
right.
The House of Ruth that gives back to domestic violence victims, and also the Wiregrass Angel House,
Mhm.
and that is a platform for families who have lost loved ones to violent crime.
Oh wow.
And then also Lifestyle Community Blood Centers. We all
Mhm.
need blood.
Yes, we do. Gotta have it.
We've
Gotta have it to
that
live.
blood. Yes,
You better
yes.
say that.
You have to have that.
That's
and,
right.
and also the Juneteenth Tri-State Expo Juneteenth Affairs. And the reason I'm involved with that because
Mhm.
I was the first Grand Marshal for
Yes.
Juneteenth in
Yes.
2021.
That is amazing.
Yes.
How did you ride? What did you have riding being the grand marshal? Were you in the parade?
Oh
Yes,
yes.
having a
Okay.
parade. Tell us a
Yes.
little bit about that.
Oh, well, that was in 2021, and they just made Juneteenth a holiday
That's right.
federally.
Okay. Mhm.
At that time, I didn't even know I was selected, and they kept sending me letters, and I wouldn't read them.
That's right. Just
It
lay
was,
it to the
I
side.
would lay it to the side, and finally she called me. She's like, "Did you read your letters?" And I said, "What letter?" And then finally I looked at it, and I said, "Oh, you just want me to be in the parade?"
Right,
That's
right,
what I
right.
assumed. And then I went back and read the letters. You're the Grand Marshal,
Oh
and I
my
was like,
goodness, that's a whole
"Wow."
nother level right there.
Yeah, that was
What an
something really
honor.
different. And they did this big surprise for me, and the photo shoot
Uh-huh.
and
Oh, yeah.
everything was just wonderful.
Yes.
And everybody, and actually that photo is now on a building in downtown Dothan.
Exactly. They're wonderful. Not only do you have your own day, but you have your own big wall. You have your own picture in the community. People can just ride by and say, "Oh, Miss Deborah, you are making such an impact.
It's a
You are really
blessing.
touching lives.
Mhm.
And that's what we're supposed to do. Even as Christians." You know, that's what we're supposed to do. You know, we're supposed to make a difference. You know, make a deposit. You know, change, be a light.
Yes.
You know, and share the love of God above everything else.
Exactly.
You know, and so you're doing that.
And I believe that my platform is
Hmm.
showing that I am being a servant
Exactly. Yeah, and
to
you
my community.
to your community, and that's so important. You
Hmm.
know, and so you've been in broadcasting for how many years now?
Ooh, almost 40.
Almost 40 years. Good God.
Almost 40.
What a
Yeah.
blessing.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Well, so you've been in a long time, and I know it has changed since
Oh
day
gosh.
one,
Oh
correct?
gosh. Yes. From reel to reels to cassette tapes.
Yes, I was
To,
gonna ask you how
oh
has
my
it
gosh.
changed?
All of those things that you have to do manually. You know,
Hmm.
we used to use a little block with the blade
Yes.
and cut the tape and all of that good stuff. And now it's digital.
Oh,
So it's gone through a lot of change. So, you know, from little, I had those little things to bring with me to show
oh
you,
yeah,
but I
that's right.
forgot.
That's right.
But yeah, it's changed a lot, and
Hmm.
even now with
Hmm.
social media,
Hmm.
that's really a big difference. Which I don't care for that part,
Right, right. I know that's right.
you know, because it takes enough to just do your job,
That's
but
right.
then when you have to deal with social media,
Hmm.
that's so it's changed
That's
quite
right.
a bit. You know,
Right.
the digital age. Um, we used to have play records back
Hmm.
in the day
Hmm.
and albums, and now we've gone digitally, where we used to do cart machines.
That's right.
It's so many different things that have changed over
Hmm.
the years in radio and television
Sure.
alone.
Exactly. I mean, you can just see it. And technology is booming.
Hmm.
You know, and I don't understand how. I can imagine what the media has changed, how it's changed. But I mean, just so many other little small things. You know, you every time if you open up an account, you got to have a password and you got to have a username, and you can't even go on your Facebook or your Twitter or anything without having a password and a
Fingerprint.
username, exactly, or face
Fingerprint or
recognition,
face
or
recognition.
voice
Yes,
recognition.
yes,
So much has changed. So
yes.
to see it change in the medium, and I know we're on the cusp of seeing even more, and not technology is just taking over. And I feel sorry for older people, like in their 70s and 80s and 90s, trying to do business today.
Hmm.
I'm sure it's challenging and trying for them because
It's challenging for me.
it's challenging for me, and I'm 60 something, and I'm just like, why do I have to have a password? Why do I have to give you my email?
Yes, yes.
And you get so many commercials, and you get so many advertisement emails.
That's
And it's just
algorithms.
yes, it is so aggravating.
Yeah, it is.
But we see that it is changed, because you remember in our age, we're baby boomers.
Right.
We went from the records,
Mhm.
into the cassettes, to the VHRs, then the cassettes, and
Mhm.
now you can just pull it up on your phone.
Yes.
So
Yes.
things have really
Everything is
changed.
a touch of a button now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this TV show, and back in the day, I don't know what I would have had to do this. But it's easy now, I'm sure, versus me trying to do it 20, 30 years ago. You know.
Well, when I had my television show in '95, that was different. We had a cameraman.
Uh huh.
Now you have digital cameras. They operate by themselves.
Hmm.
You can sit in the studio by yourself. The
Oh
camera
wow.
does it all by
All the
itself
work.
now.
Mhm.
So there's a lot. You had more manpower back then, where
Okay.
now it's
Yeah, you
just
can do
you
it
and the camera.
yourself.
Do it yourself.
That's awesome. Hey, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with you.
Deborah Pearson is a champion of change, and it's unintentional. That's what makes it so beautiful.
Deborah Pearson has been a mainstay and almost like an icon in the community.
Miss Deborah, I call her my second mother. Deborah has done so much for the community, but for an organization such as Comcast to want to give back to the community in her honor, and we're just so thankful that Comcast has been able to do this.
Finding out about the celebration for Deborah Pearson, that level of recognition, we were so very excited. Keeping that a secret, wow.
Everyone involved in this surprise wanted it to be a surprise for Deborah.
You know, when we think about journalism and women trailblazers, Deborah is one of those. She is someone that has been telling stories that have impacted this area for a very long time.
I couldn't figure out what was going on. I couldn't fathom what in the world it could have been.
Being the voice of the wiregrass is paramount. And thank you for the deposits that you've made in so many lives.
Deborah Pearson, thank you for caring about the people of the Wiregrass. Your community loves you.
On behalf of Deborah, as well as Comcast, we would like to present to the Hawk Houston Youth Enrichment Center 12 laptops, as well as $5,000 to help support your organization.
It's an honor, definitely, to be called a champion of change. And so to be recognized by your community and have a day named after you for what you've done in the community, I just can't even put it into words. And to say that I'm in this community making a change is unbelievable. I'm so grateful. And I hope that change continues.
Hey, we are back from our commercial break, and we're going to continue this dynamic conversation with Miss Deborah Pearson. Well, when we look at where we are today and where we're going, do you think that technology is going to be the driving force where it's just become totally self-independent, dependent on, you know, I don't even know if you're going to even need.
Yeah,
all
I think
this
it's going
stuff.
to be less manpower and more technology.
Right.
That's what I think because it's actually drawing to that now.
Mm-hmm.
Even a radio station, you don't need anyone in the station. They can do it
Yes.
automated, and
Ooh.
it can go by itself.
Right.
And
And you can do it from home.
you do voice tracking, everything. It's so different now
Right.
compared. And it's sad because people are losing their jobs.
That's
behind
right.
that.
Yeah, and that's a bad thing.
Mhm.
That means that they got to find something else to do.
Right.
And I'm sure that they feel the crunch of things changing.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, if it breaks down, somebody's got to fix it.
That's true.
You
You
know
have
what
that
I'm
one
saying?
engineer.
That's that one engineer. He's gonna have to fix it all. So that's amazing. But well, are you still mentoring? Just to ask you, are you still mentoring and depositing into young journalists that's upcoming that wants to be in that field?
Well, I did recently get a call from an older lady who's in her 50s.
Oh,
Said
get
she wants to be
out.
mentored. She's attending Troy University now,
Okay.
and she says she has a drive, and she called me to mentor her. Her instructor
Okay.
knew me from back in the day when she was a
Yes.
reporter, and she's asked me to mentor her. I haven't mentored much
Mhm.
since the pandemic.
Sure.
And actually, the pandemic babies are totally different.
Right.
They don't know as much.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, they just don't know as much.
That's right. Yeah.
But because they basically were at home and studying from a book, and they never actually got out to do the job themselves. But I don't do as much as I would like to, but I do still do some.
Exactly. Well, maybe in the future, something that we talked about earlier this morning,
Mhm.
maybe that could be something that you can do to, keep you going and keep you busy, in that arena.
It's always something to keep you busy.
Exactly, exactly. But I think because you have the experience, you have the knowledge. I think that'll be something good for you to do to just open up maybe a session or maybe a day out of the week to have people over a class, to mentor people.
Well,
and if you wasn't so far, you know what, I would probably come myself because I'm new at this and I don't know what I'm doing half the time. Thank God for Ron. But but I would probably come myself, because I think I could learn and glean from your knowledge and what you experience.
Well, everybody can learn from somebody.
Exactly. We're never too old to learn.
Never.
Am I right about it?
Never too old. Never too old.
Well, exactly. So when we look at you have done this for over 30 years, and there have been times where you've been awarded a lot of different things, and so just share with us, how does it make you feel to be named among the top 5 women in the Women Hall of Fame?
Top
Broadcasting.
25.
Top
women,
20.
Top 25.
That's you know
women.
what I'm talking about, because this is your stuff. Yeah. How does it make you feel to be named?
Well, I was part of the inaugural class, and they have not named another class since then. So that's really that was a surprise where someone in my community nominated me for that. They wrote in and talked about how much I did for the community.
Sure.
And to be amongst some of the best women in the state in the broadcasting, like the ABA president, I'm like, wow, I'm ranked up there with her.
Yeah.
So that is a wonderful feeling, and it's just a testament that you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Well, I think that you do well deserving of it, and you have the fruit, you have the experience, you have the knowledge, and then you have the works.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think you would have been named, in the Hall of Fame of the top 25 had not you had the work. You've done the work.
That longevity does.
Exactly.
It does.
You've labored in it.
Yes.
You put sweat and tears in it. You work hard. You roll up your sleeve, and you got in there and you work. So you deserving of that.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Blood, sweat, and
I'm
tears.
telling you, there are stories that I've covered that I've dodged bullets. I mean,
What?
yes,
For real?
yes,
Literally?
yes, literally. I think it was 94, 95. Eufaula. It was a standoff in Eufaula, and I was talking to the police chief, and about probably far as me and the cameraman here.
Wow.
And I asked, I said, "Is this guy dangerous?" And he says, "No, he just wants some attention." Well, yeah, he decided to shoot.
Oh no!
And
What?
the bullet went right over our heads, and we had to, scramble and get back. And he just took target practice. He was just shooting at the media. That you don't think about that as, okay, I'm waking up this morning and I'm have to dodge bullets today. you
don't know what you're gonna encounter.
You have no idea. Every day is different.
Right.
It's in the media. You never know what you're gonna encounter.
Oh, that is amazing and scary.
It's scary.
Yeah, exactly.
And tornadoes and things. This morning was a frightful morning.
That's right.
I've been up since 3 a.m.
Oh my goodness.
Listening to the scanner, those type of things, and making sure, if you have to call in, run in, do whatever to make sure that people are safe.
Exactly.
You are that servant of that community and making sure your community is safe at all times.
I got you. I've been listening to the news, and we're at war right now. And I see a lot of the broadcasters and journalists over there in the midst of the wars and bombs and bullets and all the stuff that they are, and they're right there in it. And I'm just like, I don't know if I could do that job.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure, because their life is at stake.
Exactly.
Some people get killed, they get kidnapped. A lot of things happen to them, casualty of war or whatever. I mean, how challenging is that for them?
You can do that. That can happen right here in the United States.
Exactly. Well, that's true.
Exactly. Because you just never know what you're going to encounter when you go out. But yes, that would be something I would not want to do. I would hope not to be called for that assignment. You have to make sure your insurance is taken care of. Everything is up to par. Your family. That would be. That's truly a labor of love.
Exactly. Yeah, for the community. Good God. Well, you have a special day. This named the Deborah Pearson Day in Dothan, Alabama. That just blew me away. When I saw that, and I was just so excited for you. And I know it was a surprise. Was that the surprise?
Yes,
that was the surprise. So tell us about how that came about, and what do you all do to celebrate Deborah Pearson Day?
Well, again, that was part of Comcast when they did the Champions of Change, and with that Champions of Change, a lot of the nonprofits that I named that I work with, they donated laptops in my name, 6 laptops to each of those organizations to be used in the community, and along with the Hawk Houston Youth Enrichment Center. So when I saw my 2 commissioners there, the city and county commissioners, like, why are they here? I just figured they were just there to just celebrate,
Right.
And then today is Deborah Pearson. I'm like, excuse me, what? So I have not done anything with it because I don't know what to do with it. I have no idea what to do with Deborah Pearson Day. So it doesn't seem real, just like I don't believe that my face is on a building in downtown Dothan. Like, is that actually real?
Yeah. So is this the first year that they've done this?
Well, it was announced in 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was, but it passed last year. I still it's like it's just another day to me, but I have not done anything with
Gotcha.
it. So
but you have plans.
Yeah.
You have plans. Yeah. So
I don't know. I'm still wondering about what I'm going to do with that day.
But in all your ways, acknowledge him.
Yes.
And he shall direct your path. That's
right.
He'll give you a vision for it, and put in your heart what to do to continue to give back to the community. That's what you've always done, and I'm sure that's what you'll continue to do.
Yes.
And talking about Deborah Pearson Day, and it just a little bit about how we met. I got to talk about my Lexi Poo, so she's dated my son, and I love Lexi. She is just my heart and my girl forever. And so, but she talks about you, and I told her the other day, I said, guess who's coming to be on my show? And she was so excited. She said, oh, she'll do great. I said, I know she will. I know, and I'm so excited. So thank you again for being here. It just means the world to me. So listen, I came to your church last year when you had Miss Karen Abercrombie come to your church, I think for women's ministry.
Right.
And it was phenomenal.
Amazing.
Amazing. You
It's
did
such a blessing.
you did such a great job.
Thank you.
So you work really you work hard in your church, and you're big at your church, and what you do at Dothan Community Church in Dothan, Alabama. And tell us a little bit about what you do at your church, and how long have you been there? How do you serve there?
Well, I've been there 26 years, exactly. And actually, my pastor and I went to high school together.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
He's a couple years older than I.
Okay.
But, just love my church. I love serving. And so I run the audiovisual ministry.
Of course you do.
I ran it for 10 years by myself, and I'm like, I need some help.
That's right.
So
yeah.
finally, some young men have come along, so I've kind of stepped back and let them handle it.
That's
But I usually do the video or photography part of that, and put videos together for the
Sure.
church. But I was a women's ministry facilitator for the past 3 years.
Okay.
And I wanted to do something big because that was the end of my term. And I
Gotcha.
wanted to do
Oh, that's
something
good.
big.
Yeah.
And the men had gotten another man from, I think, Courageous
Okay.
to come
Yes,
speak
yes.
with them.
Was it one of the brothers?
Yes. And I
Mhm.
was sitting in the church, just like, I want somebody big to come. So Karen Abercrombie popped up because the Forge was coming
That's
out.
right. Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to reach out.
Yes.
So I actually sat in church and typed up a letter. I'm
I'll
sorry,
tell the
Pastor. But I typed up a letter to Karen and sent it to her. I didn't think she was going to respond back. I said, nah, she's not going to respond.
Yeah.
So that was on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to work. I get up early in the morning. I'm at work at 5:30 in the morning. So I was driving that Wednesday morning. I said, Lord, I need to hear from Karen Abercrombie. I need to hear something from her. Hopefully, And when I got to work, there was an email from her saying, call me. And I was like, oh my God, she responded.
Yes.
And so I was so nervous, and she sent me her email, her telephone number. And I texted her and I said, I don't want to bother you because I know you're busy, but let me know a good day to call you. So she told me to call her that Friday, and that was the day the Forge was coming out.
Oh, wow.
So I was able to do an interview with her about the movie, and she accepted coming to the church. And so we communicated back and forth for that year because she was ready to come right then. I said, no, we can't afford you right now.
That's right. Yeah. We're working on some
we gotta
things.
we gotta pay you. So we gotta,
That's right.
And it was amazing. And you probably don't know what happened the day before.
No.
So she was supposed to come in that Friday.
Yes.
Her plane, something happened, and she was stuck. And I was like, oh no, Lord, she's got to come. She's got to come. But she finally made it. And the young lady that sang first, Cree Davis, Cree's an actress in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
And Cree is my cousin's niece.
Okay.
So I said, I called her and found out that she was coming to Dothan. She's a flight attendant for Delta. And I said, if you see Karen Abercrombie, grab her.
Get her here.
And make sure she's here. Yeah. She said, if she's not on the plane, I will drive her to Dothan.
Oh, get out.
But Cree was able to grab her and get her, and she made it. And so it was just wonderful. And we just had a good time in the Lord.
Yes,
and she was amazing.
Yes.
And I was just so grateful for her to come.
Exactly. Well, you did a great job. She was so down to earth.
Yes.
And so approachable.
She told it like it was.
Yes, she did.
Like
she preached. I tell you, she walked the floor.
Yes.
I'm telling you. But she, just to see her in person, you see her in a different arena when she's on stage or when she's on the TV. But to see her in person, to see how down to earth she is.
And she's 69 years old.
No, she's not.
Yes.
I do not believe it. I do not believe that.
Did you see how she crossed her
Yes.
legs?
I'm telling you, she looks really good.
Looks great.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. So you did a great job at your church.
Thank you.
You know, just making a difference, still in the community, impacting. You know, because we as women, we needed what she preached that day.
Yes.
It was powerful. It was very
Absolutely.
impacting, and to see how God has brought her and how she, you know, where she came from and how she got started. You know, so
How
it was
she
just
became Miss Clara.
exactly. Oh, she is the bomb.com, and I think my favorite role that she played was Miss Clara.
Exactly.
I
Well, that's
think
what
it
made
was.
her famous, actually.
Exactly.
Because she was in several other movies before
Yeah,
that, and I
yeah.
started going back watching.
Mhm.
But Miss Clara is what put her on the map.
Yeah, well, she's on the map.
Yes,
I tell you what,
definitely.
we did. Like I said again, you did a fantastic job,
And we packed the house.
oh, it was packed up in there.
Yes.
I don't know how y'all did that, but people came from everywhere
They
to
did.
see her.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was amazing.
yeah, it was, and I know Pastor was proud.
He was very proud.
Exactly. Oh, that's awesome. Y'all have a beautiful church.
Thank you.
It's amazing. You know, I looked on the website and Facebook, and and start following you all, and you have a great ministry there.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome. Well, hey, this is the end of our show. Any parting words, Miss Deborah Pearson? Anything that you would like to say to our audience? Any encouraging words? Any tips? Any nuggets that you would like to share with them concerning journalism, TV, talk show? You know, and also you was a talk show host
Yes.
for a season.
It was a brief season. Thank God for that.
So you really like being behind the closed
I
doors
like
of
being
radio.
I like being anonymous, not knowing.
Yeah.
It's just that mystery of radio
I
that
got
I've
you.
always loved.
Liked.
But you know, if you have a dream,
Mhm.
don't let that dream die. Don't let it be deferred.
Exactly.
You know, pursue it. But first of all, seek God first to see if
Mhm.
that's the dream that He has for you, or the plan that He has for your
Sure.
life. So whatever plan He has for let Him direct you and lead you
Mhm.
and guide you to where you want to go.
Amen. You know what? I received that for myself.
All right.
I hope you received it as well. Thank you so much again for being here today.
Thank you.
You were such a joy and a jewel.
Thank you.
You know, and your journey is just amazing. And I want every woman to listen to your journey and your story, because it's something to tell, and the accomplishments. You know, doing the commercial, we're gonna see if Ron can just put some of your information out there. Of course, we didn't scratch the surface of all that she's done because we don't have time, but we're gonna put some of that in there just so they can see who you are. You know, I'm proud to know her, and I'm so glad that you're here with me today.
Thank you. Thank
Amen.
you for the invite.
You're welcome. Hey, that's the end of our show. Be sure and check us out on the Facebook page. You better say that Facebook page, YouTube channel, and our website, ybstalkshow.com. So listen, until next time, God bless you, and you better say that.
You better say that.